Hi guys, Casper MMA here, and today we're back with another prediction video on the channel. Today my predictions for Cage Warriors 185, Riley versus Abbasov. It's been a while since I made one of these Cage Warriors prediction videos. I actually can't remember the last time, but I looked at the UFC card this weekend. It looked pretty dead, so I thought, why not make a Cage Warriors one instead? But before I jump into my picks, make sure if you guys aren't already subscribed and you're enjoying this content, you go down below and hit that subscribe button. It's free and it's really appreciated. So there's 15 fights on this week's card, so I better get started. We're going to get through them all, so we kick things off with the first prelim of Joshua Adeboye versus Aaron Pierre. Now, I'm going to butcher a lot of names on this card, so bear with me. Adeboye, I don't know if you'll say his name, but he's currently 0-0 professionally. He's got an amateur record of 6-2, which is pretty decent. That's all I'm going to have to go for this. He's got a few decent wins. Lost his last one by decision, but he looks like he could be alright. Not much to go from him. Aaron Pierre, on the other hand, 2-0. He looks decent. Had a few grappling matches as well, but both his wins have come by KO. One by a punch, one by an elbow. Got a pretty decent amateur record as well. So I'm going to go with Pierre to get this job done. And I reckon he gets the KO. Now, moving up the card too. Breen versus Oliveira. Now, Breen, 2-1. Only 24 years of age. Looks decent. Won his first two fights in Cage Warriors, but then after that, lost to Dave Scarano by armbar, but apart from that, he's 2-1, not too shabby. Start to his career. His opponent, Oliveira, 5-8 from Portugal, not the greatest record ever. He's 33. He has lost his last 4 fights in a row, all by KO. So that's enough for me. I'm going to be picking Breen to get the KO. Now moving up the card too. I'm never going to pronounce this, man. Mikolajewski versus Joe Ambler. Now, the Polish man, Mikolajewski, 1-1. That is a hell of a name. It's got like weird things going through the like L's and that. I don't even know what that means, man. But anyways, MMA 1-1. Yeah, he's won his first fight by flying knee in round 2, and then he lost his second fight to retirement in round 2. So he looks decent. Good amateur record as well. Quite a few finishes there. Joe Ambler, on the other hand, 1-3. Has lost his last 2. One win by submission, but in Cage Warriors, he is 0-2. One lost by decision, one lost by guillotine. So I'm going to pick the Polish man that I can't be able to pronounce his name again to win this fight. I mean, he looks like he could be a decent prospect here. I mean, he's one win by flying knee. So I think Mikolajewski is going to get the KO. Now, moving up the card too. Ryan Hewitt versus Christian Tebbett. Now, Ryan Hewitt, I think I might have picked him before I picked against him in his last fight. I can't remember, against Reggie Hinston, but he got the KO in round 1. Pretty decent. Before that, he had 2 losses, and then he had 1 win in his first fight. So he's got a pretty even record there. 1-2 in Cage Warriors at the minute. His opponent, Christian Tebbett, 3-4. His record has lost all his fights by decision. He's nearly lost all his fights. He's had 1 loss by submission, but he has had 2 decision losses in a row in Cage Warriors against all right opponents as well. To be fair, but all of his wins have been finishes. So, and I think Ryan Hewitt is the same. All of his wins have been finished as well. Yeah, so I can see this fight ending in a KO. I'm not gonna lie. Which way could it go? Probably either, but I'm going to side with Christian Tebbett to get the KO. Now, moving up the card too. Chris Price versus Alisson Marreira. Now, Alisson Marreira is a Spanish man, 8-9. His professional record. Not on a great run recently. Only 1 win in his last 6 fights. He's been KO'd a couple of times in there as well. Won a split decision in there. So, doesn't look the greatest fighter ever. Chris Price, on the other hand, 5-1. Is pretty good. 27 years of age. All of his wins coming by, it says all of his wins come by submission, but he has 1 win over Reece Street by KO, and then he lost once, his first fight in Cage Warriors by KO, but he came back with a win by submission. So this guy's very dangerous submissions. I'm going to be picking him to get the submission. Now, moving up the card too. Joe Fields versus Enrico Di Gangi. Now, Joe Fields, undefeated, 3-0, only 23 years of age as well. He looks pretty good prospect here. 2 wins by submission, 1 win by decision. Both his submissions coming in Cage Warriors as well. His opponent, Enrico Di Gangi, doesn't look too bad to be fair. 4-2. Has lost his last fight in Cage Warriors, but before that he won one. He's a decent record to be fair, not the worst. But I'm going to back the Englishman here. I'm going to back Joe Fields to get the job done, and I think he gets the decision. Now, moving up the card too. Oh, another name I'm not going to be able to pronounce. Diamantis Chondronikolas versus Shay Ingram. Now, why do they keep giving me these random names? We've got a Greek man here, Chondronikolas, 2-1. He's got a lot of grappling fights as well. He looks like pretty decent grappler. He's got lots of submission wins in there. But in MMA specifically, he's 2-1. Won his last 2 fights, one by KO, one by submission, but did lose his first professional fight by KO. His opponent, Shay Ingram, 1-0 currently. First fight in Cage Warriors, he won by decision, again, in Gatchu. There's not much to go off, apart from his amateur record. He looks pretty decent. A lot of wins by like submission. He's got some KO as well. So it could be a close fight this, but I do think Ingram is going to get the job done. And I reckon Ingram gets the KO. Now, moving up the card too. Leon Naumann versus Ethan Charlton. Now, Naumann is 5-2 currently from Germany. Looks alright. I mean, last fight he did get KO'd, but before that he has quite a few wins by finish. One with my decision in there as well. He looks alright. He's a pretty decent fighter. On the other hand, we've got Ethan Charlton, another undefeated Englishman, 2-0 currently. Won his 2 fights by submission, so he looks pretty decent. I feel like he could probably win this one. I mean, Leon Naumann, I don't think he's really fought the greatest opponents really on his record. I mean, his wins, haven't really been against anyone that great. So I think Ethan Charlton can get this done, and I reckon he gets the submission. Now, moving up the cards to Sam Kelly versus Richard Kallos. Now, Sam Kelly, 5-3. Englishman, looks alright, but he has lost his last 2 fights in a row. One by decision, and then he got KO'd in round 3 of his last fight. But apart from that, he looks pretty decent. Have quite a few first round finishes and a second round one as well. So he's not the worst fighter in the world. Richard Kallos, 3-2 from Romania, I think it is. 37 years of age. He's getting on a bit, but he won his last fight in Cage Warriors by submission. Before that, he lost by decision. He was in Bellator at one point and then lost by KO. So this guy is quite dangerous from submissions. 37 years of age, but I don't think he's going to beat Sam Kelly here, and I reckon Sam Kelly gets the job done by decision. Now, moving up the card too. Jack Humphries versus Nick Beukema. Now, this looks a good fight. I was scouting this one out. Looks a very nice fight. Both these guys look pretty good. Humphries, 2-0. 21 years of age, so very young as well. He looks pretty decent. Won his last fight by KO. Won his fight before that by submission. So both round 1 finishes for him. On the other hand, we have Nick Beukema, who is 3-0 currently. All of his wins have come by finish as well. 2 wins by submission. Then he had a 11-second KO in his first fight professionally. So that's pretty impressive. So I could see this going either way, to be honest. Both these guys look pretty good. But I think I'm going to back the younger man in Jack Humphries. Only 21. He looks good. Very good prospect. And I think Humphries is going to get the submission. Now, moving up the card too. Omeil Brown versus Samuel Blasco. Now, Blasco, another Spanish man on the card. 13-15 record. He's got quite a few fights in there. He did win his last fight. He's been in Cage Warriors a couple times now, I think. He's like, he's been in Cage Warriors like at least twice, and he's lost both times. He's got interesting record. Lost many decisions, quite a few split decisions in there as well. Did win his last fight by KO, which is fair enough. But his opponent, Omeil Brown, looks pretty good. 9-3 on a 3-fight winning streak as well. Looks very nice. Did lose in round 1 KO back in 2023, but since then he's looked pretty good. So I'll be going with Omeil Brown to get the KO. Now moving up the card too. George Smith versus Ollie Santalahti. Ollie Santalahti. I'm going to go with that. Finnish man. Definitely butchered his name, but we don't mind. It doesn't really matter. We're just here to pick the fighters. 14-8 his record. not doing too well currently on a 2-fight losing streak in Cage Warriors. Beat Jamie Richardson, but lost before that to James Sheehan. So not the he's 1-3, 1-4 currently in Cage Warriors. So not the greatest record ever. His opponent George Smith on the other hand, 7-4. He won his last fight. Then against Craig Rawlins, won by submission in round 1. Looks decent. I mean, he's got obviously. He lost it back. He was in Cage Warriors back in the day. Lost to Mick Stanton by ground and pound, which isn't the worst loss to have in your record really, because he's actually pretty good. Left, won a fight, came back, and then he looks all right. So I mean, it's probably a close fight. Both these guys, not the best, not the worst fighters ever. Pretty average. So I'm going to have George Smith here to get the job done, and I reckon he gets the decision. Now moving up the card to Adam Cullen versus Nonato Jr. Now. Adam Cullen, 8-2, very impressive record, 26 years of age. Lost a split decision to Harold Cohen, but came back with a win in his last fight against Samuel Blasco, who we just talked about. KO'd him in round 3. He's got many round 1 finishes, and pretty sure nearly, apart from his last fight, all of his wins have came in round 1 by either KO or sub. So he is pretty good. On the other hand, Nonato Jr., 12-8. Not as good of a record, really. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, to be fair. I mean, this guy's got many wins by submission. That is his biggest threat here. But I don't think he'll be able to sub Adam Cullen here. And I reckon Cullen is going to get the job done by KO. Now, moving up the card to the co-main event. Teddy Stringer versus Antonio Sheldon. 2 Englishmen fighting here. Teddy Stringer, 4-0 currently. Only 24 years of age as well. He's got 3 rear naked choke wins and then 1 ground and pound win, so he looks pretty good at the minute. I mean, not much to say bad there. Antonio Sheldon on the advance, 7-4. Not as impressive record, but he's not a bad fighter either. To be fair, he's on a 2-fight winning streak at the minute. Did lose to a split decision before that to Orlando Wilson Prince. Then had a split draw before that. So interesting record, to be fair. I do think he looks alright, but he's no match for Teddy Stringer here. I think undefeated fighter. He looks pretty good. And I reckon Stringer is going to get the submission. Now, moving up the card to the main event. Luke Riley versus Tariel Abbasov. Now, Luke Riley, I really like this guy. I watched his last fight. He looks pretty good. KO'd Alexander Jr. in round 1. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, he's got many KOs on his record. I think he has 7 wins by KO, 3 by decision. He's a dangerous man. He looks pretty good. Tariel Abbasov on the hand. Where's he from? Azerbaijan. 9-2. I mean, he looks pretty good. He's not bad, to be fair. Won his last fight by KO, but before that he got finished. His 2 losses came, and his record came in a row, both by submission, to be fair. So this guy cannot defend submissions, but he's got quite a few wins by submission himself. He looks decent. So I do think this should be a good fight. It could be, but I do think Riley is going to be the better fighter. I just don't see any flaws in his game. And I feel like Riley is going to get the job done by decision. So there are my predictions for Cage Warriors 185. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. And that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.